Mm. Hello again. My name is Tolga Uysal, and today we will be talking about introduction to information security, a little bit about awareness, a little bit about the most important part of the information security, which is risk management. So let's begin. But before that, who we are is we are CFE certification, which is we are accredited by both UCAS and EAS. UCAS is for European side of the companies that are want to be accredited or get certification for ISO 27001, and which is the most applicable form applicable organization in Europe by my standards, because all the all the ISO standards are coming from the UK, as you know, and also for EAS is for the US. The company stated in the US, which is the most applicable organization in the USA. So CFE Cert is a member of the British Education Accreditation Authority, which is CPT certification service. So all the awareness trainings, all the auditor trainings and certifications are accredited by CPT certification, and which is again is acceptable by almost all the all the countries in the world, because again all the ISO standards are coming from the UK. And then we can guarantee the education level that you will be receiving is in the standards of the UK. So and also CFE certification is also the member of the Association of British Certification Bodies, which is ABCB. Okay, what we provide is we provide gap analysis for the organizations that want to be want to be in compliance with ISO standards, but not sure if they're quite ready yet. We also provide trainings regarding their awareness trainings or certifications for internal and lead auditors. We provide audits and certification services in many areas, but mainly about ISO standards and information security, business continuity, IT service management, and quality management. We are also providing audits or gap analysis for GDPR or any other personal data management system that you may require. So if you wanna get certified by a certain ISO standard, yeah, you can contact us. Or you wanna get certified, but you are not quite sure about you or your organization are ready enough. Again, we provide gap analysis to test your compliance level, and then that gap analysis will guide you through the management system compliance processes, governance processes, to make your company a better in compliance measurements to the ISO standards or any other measurement system that your company may require. Who I am is, my name is Tolga Uysal. Again, I am a tutor at CFE certification. I am also a lead auditor in ISO 27001, 27701, 22301, 20001, and 9001. I am also a DPO for GDPR. I've been in both consultancy and auditing audits for a quite some year now. And I think I am quite experienced about my line of work. If you have any questions, feel free to comment me through the chat. I will try to read them as you write it. So if you don't have any questions until now, we can begin. But before that, let me just remind you that we will be sharing a quiz link with you at the end of the webinar. And if you completed the quiz, you will be certified about attending this webinar, and acquired a little bit more awareness level than the other people. So what is information? The basic information is to us and for the ISMS, Information Security Management System, is uh, something that values the company. Some type of collection of data that has value to the company. If that information doesn't have any value to the company, it doesn't count as a value, or an asset. But the way that we see it, the collection of the data that you process, you analyze, or you store in your organization's premises or your systems, uh, gains a meaning to the company because it has some usage, it has some value to the company now. Because after that, if after that process or analyzing process, so now after that value gaining process, that collection of data becomes information, and information is required to continuity of our processes, delivery of our services or our products. And that's why in today's technology and today's world, the information is more valuable than just money, because we can use information to either earn more money or harm the companies that we are target. uh, Anything that we transfer, we store, we analyze, we process, becomes information, and that's why all the digital data eventually becomes information to the company. And that's why building an information security management system to the company is required, because once you accomplish the ISO 27001, for example, that's today's criteria, you will have a basic level of protection for all the company and all the assets that are belong to the company. And that's why even though the data is not valuable to the company as yet, because it's not an information yet, we will have a certain level of protection to cover that up as well. And that's why, upon again being compliance with the ISO 27001 or any other ISMS, you will have a shield against any change in technology, any developing technology, or any new or existing vulnerability or threats. And that's why you will see that your spendings or your budgets will be more planned, and it will be required less improvements over the years. But depending on the system or the organization, it's not always a bad thing, because now you will have a more budget to improve your systems, do more projects, other than just spending some unnecessary money on security tools that you are not even able to make use of properly. So, information security management system is the process of protecting the information from any unauthorized or unauthenticated use, disclosure, access, destruction, modification, altering, transfer, or blocking. So what we aim with the ISMS is that all your processes are moving according to the plan. All your business processes are going on non-stop, without any disturbances. All the information that you store are reliable, are up to date, and kept in safe. And we aim to obtain, operate, monitor, and review, and maintain, and also improve the management system as we approach it and as we make it a living system in the company. Why is the information security management system important, other than what we just talked about? Is of course there are some regulations, there are some laws that all the companies must obey, and on top of all of that comes GDPR, which is the most active and most renowned regulation in Europe, I believe, which is for general protection of personal information. Why we try to be in compliance with GDPR so much is that the rates of the fines that they can that they can send us. In the in the slide, you can see the fines can go up to 746 million euros if it comes to that. And we can see that Amazon is in the top for paying that price. So if Amazon had better understanding and give a little bit more importance to the ISMS and GDPR and the protection of the information and the rights of the natural people, they wouldn't be fined that much, because the fine just raises itself. Multiplies itself with every new natural person affected by the information incident. So all the mistakes that you do, you can multiply it by how many people affected by the incident, and that comes your fine from the GDPR. So that's why accomplishing and making the ISMS a living management system in your organization is not just required for information security, it's also a required management system, a required process to make your organization comply with other regulations, other laws, and doing it doing it without an effortlessly. So the ISO 27001 thinks that if we can provide three principles to the information that we have, then we can make the information a secure information that is good to process or store. Those three principles are confidentiality, integrity, and availability. We call it CIA triangle also. The confidentiality is the ability to not disclose or not share or not make an unauthorized person access to the information, so that information can be kept in securely and secretly. And integrity is the reliability and truthfulness of the information. The information that we use and that we store must be up to date, must be reliable all the times, because GDPR is demanding it. So with the ISMS, you will now have the ability to make all your information up to date and reliable, because it's one of the three principles, one of the three principles of it. And availability is the ability to access and use the information that that your organization or your users or your employees may require during their business processes. So if we can make the information not accessible by any unauthorized person, if we can make the information up to date and reliable all the time, and if we can make the information accessible and usable at all times by our authorized personnels, we may think that we are in compliance with ISMS's three principles, and all the control matters and all the standard matters of the information security management system, which is ISO 27001, wants us to achieve that, wants us to provide those three principles to our information. Okay, we have some key principles, which is started with authentication, which is the ability to make the authenticating purposes or abilities to your systems, so that every person that tries to access it must be passed a check control, so that you know that they are authorized as well. Authorization is the ability to make adjustments to see the information, to download it, to alter it, to change it, to see it. Every process, every type of process a user may want to do with your information must first comes from their authorization levels. If they have the right for it, they need to be able to do it. If they don't have the right to it, then they shouldn't be able to access it in the first place, which is the authentication. And we have non-repudiation, which is also required by GDPR. The non-repudiation is with that principle, you now have the ability to point out the responsible one for any incident that you may receive or you may have. So they can't refuse that they didn't do it, because you have the systems to monitor who accessed it, who changed it, with unauthor with not with not enough authorization levels, so that you know who did it and you can pinpoint that person with easily. And we have accountability and accountability auditing, which is you will have to audit yourself constantly every year, and you will have to fix the nonconformities found by those audits, and then and now you have an auditing capability in your company, so that will reduce the need of outside audits and GDP and regulation fines and audits. We have some motivations. We have some other standards or frameworks that we inspire. We have some good practices, which are NIST, ISO 27001, COBIT, and ISF. They are the good practices. If we are trying to be in compliance with each one of them, we are doing a good thing. We have some regulations, and we have some fines to run from. So that comes from KVKK in Turkey, GDPR in Europe, and some other regulations like such as FCA. They will constantly try to audit you and making sure that you are making the necessary efforts to make the information or the processes secure enough and moving well, and you are also in compliance with their requirements as well. We have some controls. The controls which are coming from internal audits. We constantly audit ourselves and see where we stand regarding the management system that we try to be in compliance with. We have internal controls. The internal controls runs all the time. Every process that you run during in the organization must start with a planning and doing and then controlling. And if something went wrong during that process, making adjustments, making improvements, so that in the next time you do that process again, you don't encounter those same problems again. We have external audits. Few of them are mandatory, and rest of them is upon requesting from your organization, which are maybe for both certification and get an independent audit, so that you know that you are on the right track. And we have global processes that we must be in compliance with, such as PCI DSS. We can't process any credit card data without being in compliance with PCI DSS and other processes similar to that. So we have motivations, we have the necessary means to protect the information, because that it may cause the company's reputation in a bad way. It can cause receiving regulational fines. It can cause losing the customers that you have. It may be set you back from your competitors because they are in compliance with ISMS, and they are able to provide necessary evidences to work with the bigger clients, because the way that things work is, the bigger the client, the more the requirement comes with it. So if you want the bigger reward, you must be able to meet the requirements of bigger clients, and that's why you must be able to have necessary evidences to provide and meet the requirements. So with the information security management system, you will now have the necessary evidences to provide and show as evidence to the relevant customers that you want to work with. So you have the needs, you have the means, you have the motivations. The only thing that you may be lacking is the upper management support. And that also comes with the possibility of losing customers, possibility of probable fines. So there is no point for any company or any organization to not be in compliance with ISMS in today's world. And also we have some threats that we can face during our business hours or in our personal lives. So we have natural threats. We have fire, we have flood, we have lightning, etc. We have natural disasters. And with ISMS's seventh annex control, the physical security, physical control, uh, we now have to make some preparations to especially fire and flood and maybe earthquake. So we are covered in there. We have malicious softwares that are roaming in the internet, just waiting for someone to download them, and sometimes they make themselves downloaded by you by forcefully or without your knowing. So we have viruses, we have trojans, we have spywares, we have ransomwares. The ransomwares are the most famous one, other than the viruses, because the most damage a company can receive till today came from the ransomwares. The way that ransomware work is, they spread in your internal network and they encrypt every file that they can find, and the attacker asks for some money in exchange for unencrypting that files. And not every time that they do that. Sometimes they just receive the money and delete the files. Sometimes they receive the money and leave the files as it is. And sometimes they receive the money and unencrypt the files and then re-encrypt them to ask for more money. But with the SMS, you will have to get your backups regularly, so that you now have a way of redemption from the ransomware that just spread in your internal network. And if anything like that happens, you just don't pay the required money. You just build a new system and return from your backups and move and go on with your business as usual. We have social engineerings. We have some attackers, some malicious people try to convince your employees to give them information, or just click some links so that they can spread virus or ransomware in your internal network or your organization. We have vulnerabilities and physical security. Vulnerabilities are always going to be there. We just have to be able to make a monitoring process that constantly monitors and finds new vulnerabilities, and we must build another process to close all the vulnerabilities that are found every day. And we have physical security measurements. The social engineering may come in a form of physical security. They can just change their clothes and and try to get into your company, and go and just go on with search your trash cans, get any information that they may find in your meeting rooms, on your tables, anywhere they can get their access. We have hackers and and activists, which are again malicious people, maybe doing that for money, maybe they are trying to prove in themselves, maybe they have ego, maybe they just want to harm your company. But we have those malicious people as well, and they always try to actively hack into your computers, hack into your systems, and try to halt your process, halt your business, disturb your business, or again maybe try to spread some ransomware to encrypt all your files and ask for money. So we talked about the reasons, but the other reasons maybe, yeah, again, personal satisfaction can be a reason. Material interest, money, can also be another reason. Your competitors may try to do that to your company to get an advantage, competitive advantage. you may be able, you may need to, you may be need to request an additional resources, and your IT systems always every day increases their budget because they try to keep up with managing the system. Uh, or maybe we have some curious, careless, or people that try to learn the technical ways from the ground up, or it may be your employees. The most of the times, the successful incidents cause from the internal users or the employees. Maybe because they were harmful, maybe because they were in lack of awareness level, or maybe because they were curious. But again, not thinking about the possibility of your employees maybe causing the harm to your company is the biggest mistake that an organization can ever make. And with the SMS, we now have that under cover as well. We have a famous saying in Turkey, which is, I don't think about how to succeed in a job. I wonder what would hinder that work. Once I remove the barriers, once I remove the hinder, the business work by itself. So that's the best way to enter a risk management process. We have someone say hi, hello, thank you for joining. Uh, that's the best way to enter a risk management side of the webinar. So risk management. Risk is a potential harm that may happen to your company, and the potential threat that is coming from that potential harm, that potential risk. Okay, so risks are because risks are the potential harm that may come to the company. We must be able to think ahead of those risks, of those threats, and we must make preparations to not make that risk happen. So that's why the risk management is in the center of almost all the management system, information security management system that I know of, because they all try to achieve uh, the most secure management system, and they try to achieve the most secure organization. And for doing that, you must be able to assess the situation you are in right now, and you must be able to assess the situation that you may be in the future. So we have levels of lines of defense. So it starts with IT management controls. The controls that are implemented by the process owners, the IT department, the cybersecurity department, and other departments. If everyone knows their responsibility, that's the first line of defense that you have. Because when an attacker tries to attack your organization, they start by gathering They start by getting passively gathering information, and those passive gathering informations are usually about your employees. So they try to find the weakest link of the company. So the first line of defense is the awareness level of the employees, and the controls that are implemented by the every and each one of the process owners of the company, and the IT management controls. The second line of defense is information securities, risk management, internal control and governance processes, preparations, and reporting. Why is reporting so important? Because uh, one department can find an incident, potential incident, or an existing incident, and without the proper authorizations, proper rights, and proper resources, we can't do anything about the potential incident or potential wrongdoing of the organization. So reporting to the upper management will always return in a more resource, in more freedom of doing, or more rights, so that we can close that incident, or we can close that vulnerability, or we can close that non-conformity. And the final line of defense is internal audits. Why is the internal audits are so important? Is because, yeah, thank you for joining as well. Why is this internal audit is so important? It's because of because the way of the ISO 27000 work is, the ISO 27001 expects you to make preparations and prepare yourself for each and every one of the standard methods and annex controls through the life cycle, through the life cycle of it. And at the end of the process, and at the end of the management systems compliance processes, you will have to make an internal audit to see if all the preparations, all the controls that you have until now are effective, are efficient, and are working. And then you will have a management review. With the management review, you will report the final outcome of all the processes that you've done so far to the upper management. And the upper management must be involved in the process because without the upper management, like I said, we wouldn't have any resource. We wouldn't have any right. We wouldn't have any authorization over other people. And that will be that will lead us to not being able to make our businesses, make our processes, make our controls in place. So at the end of it all, you will have an internal audit, and you will make sure that all your controls are in place, and you will report it to the upper management, and upper management will be involved in the process as well. And at the end of it, and then at the end of the whole process, all compliance process, even after the upper management support, you will be audited by some governing body, some certified auditing body, and then you will be making sure that your system is actually the way that it was expected by ISO 27001. And if it's not, you will know your what was lacking in your organization, so that in the next period you will be able to close all of the non-conformities that were found in that independent audit by either governing body, board of directors, or audit committee, and you will be able to be regulated or be certified by that certification. So we have a life cycle for risk management, and that is pretty straightforward, if you ask me. So we have a defining process. So in order for us to be able to make controls or precautions for any possible harm or threat to the company, is started by the defining the problems. For defining the problems, you will have to be able to state or define your processes, your departments, your assets, your the way you do your job, or the way you do your business. And after you defined all those under controls, all those inputs, you will have to define risk, the potential risk that can come to that process, to that asset, to that business process, and with thinking about what could go wrong with my notebook, what could go wrong with my IT department, or my Windows operating systems, or my internal systems. The risks are coming in, just writing themselves in the risk inventory, because there are some white known risks, and there are some shortcomings of your organization, and of course your employees are aware of them. So when you put them in writing, and the reason of preparing that inventory is making you in compliance with a regulation or a certification, uh, forces the upper management or the board to create more resource, and make availability to close them. And after that, you will have analytics and prioritizations. Why do we have to make prioritize all of our risks? Is because some of the risks are more critical. The possibility level of the risk is more severe, or the impact of it is more is higher than the rest of them. So you prioritize that, and you start from the higher one, and you go low, and then at the end of it, you will have a prioritization of the risks that your organization have, and a starting point. The starting point is always the highest one. For the highest one, we start planning. What should we do about it? So we have some ways of we have four ways of control. We will talk about in the next slides. You select one of the controls, you plan the action, you analyze the process, like if you should be able to if you should be spending more budget to close it, or the impact is less than the less than the budget that you need to spend on the risk. So you will analyze those processes. If the impact is more than the budget that is required to close the risk, you will schedule and plan the actions, and you track the process, and you report the process, and you control all the things that you've done for risk management, and you learn from your mistakes, and you define them again. We have an unending life cycle for risk management, defining the risks, analyzing it, prioritizing it, and selecting controls, and schedule it, and apply it, and control it, and learn from it, and start all over again. After a few cycles pass on, you will realize that with each cycle, your management system abilities are also improving, and the level of risks that you had that has a severe impact or severe possibility levels are starting to get lower and lower every day. So let's talk more about the stages. So we have risk identification. We identify the sources, like I said, the assets, the processes, the departments. Everything can be a source for a risk. We will identify the consequences. So what happens if that risk is actually happened to the organization? What will be facing with, and you will need to identify your internal and external risks. Your suppliers can be a source of risk, your customers can be a source of risk, your regulations, your laws can be a source of your risks, and you will identify every one of it. And then you will need to assess the risks that you identified. With the assessment stage, you will provide an estimate number of likelihood, the probability, and the level of impact of that risk to the organization. So every risk can be stated as same in different organizations, but the likelihood and the impact of that specific risk will be changed with every organization. So we can't just copy paste from another organization. We must make our own, and we must involve the responsible parts to the process as well. So, and then we have risk treatment. We have four methods to treat a risk. So we will select one of those four to treat and close that risk, and then we will monitor the risks. If that treatment method were useful, the actions that we planned and take was actually helpful, we will monitor it. And at the end of the period, at the end of the risk management cycle, we will review all the monitoring processes and all the outcomes, and we will decide if that was okay with us or not, if we were satisfied by the results or not. And if we are not satisfied by the results, we will try to make improvements to the system. We will try to make more harsh decisions, and try all the life cycle from the beginning. So for calculating a risk, uh, th- there isn't there isn't just a one way of calculating your organizational risks, but the most common way is you multiply the probability numeric value, like your likelihood of that risk, and you multiply it with the impact level of the risk, and you will have the importance of the risk. You with this for defining what the max level of probability likelihood and the max number of impact level, you can have a matrix of 5 to 5, like the maximum number of the effect can be 5 and the maximum number of probability can be 5. It can depend on your organization. You can make it 3, you can make it 4, you can make it 6. We don't there is no restrictions on the number that you will decide on the risk management system, but in most general, the 5 is the most common one. So if you use the 5 metrics, you will have 1 to 4 is miscarriage is it's not important, it can be acceptable. 5 to 8 is a middle. 9 to 12 will be the important one. It can harm noticeably, but it will not that major. Above 15 should be critical, because above 15 is closer to the maximum number, and the potential impact or the potential likelihood of the risk is probably very high, or the asset that is the source of that risk is very important to your organization. So we always start with the critical one, go to the important, middle, and low level, and so on. We talked about the control methods that were used for treatment of a risk. We had four control methods, four treatment methods. We have accepting the risk. Sometimes a risk is not possible to take a preventive or correct action, and just and will be there till all the system is changed or your organization existing. Or sometimes the required budget for closing a risk uh, is actually higher than the potential impact of that risk. And for those situations, the organization and the upper management is probably going to think that rather than just spending the money to close it, I would just obey the impact of the risk, because the likelihood is low, or it's not going to happen today. We will just take the risk. They can just say that. We have transferring the risk method. If you have, for example, a call center in your company, with the call center, it comes with a regulational requirements for example, GDPR, because you will constantly receiving personal information from your customers. You can just transfer the risk to to another company by closing the call center processes in your own organization, and just outsource it. If you outsource that process, all the risks from that call center will be outsourced to the outsourced company as well. So you can just transfer all the risk to another company. You can have risk aversion. You can just you can just run from that risk if there is a process that has some high impact, high likelihood numbers for the risk, and the numbers look bad for the company. You can just close that process down, and just you can just use the risk aversion and not do that process, not outsourcing it either. You just close that part of the organization, and you can just forget all the risks that are coming from that process. And we have reducing the risk method. That is the most common selected method, by the way, because the most of the time, the budget that is required for a specific risk is usually lower than the potential impact of the risk. So organizations usually just select reducing the risk, and just plan some actions to reduce the level or reduce the impact of the risk. So for with all the four of the controls that we talked about, I think we covered the risk management process, and we can move on to the next one. I believe one of the most important ones, password security, passwords and security of the passwords. So I like to think about the passwords as the key for my house, uh, because I can take the world's most expensive security measurements to protect my house. But if I give my key to someone else, all those expensive measurements become meaningless, because that person with the key can enter my house and do whatever they want with it. So no matter how expensive my security measurements, no matter how perfect my information security system is, if I can't protect my password, a harmful attacker is bound to enter that internal network, and they're bound to harm the company. So that's why the passwords that we use when entering an application, platform, environment, wherever that we use it to log into, must be authorized by at least a basic security mechanism. We shouldn't ever put our passwords as QWERTY or 1 to 6, that or leave it at default. We should have a low, a basic level of awareness to change that password to something that only we know of. Using a simple password is, I know, tempting, and it's the most easy to remember, but it's not secure. And people are tend to use the same password over different platforms, different environments, different applications. And if you ever log into an untrusted website, untrusted platform, your password is probably stolen or disclosed to attackers. So that's why you should also change your passwords. I believe at least every 6 months or every 3 months, because like I said, we are tempted to use the same password over different platforms, and one of those platforms are usually untrusted, with unsecure database, and in that database they have our password, and that password is just leaked to the attacker. So that's why we must change the password periodically, every 3 or 6 months. And we shouldn't ever write our password on calendars, or paste them on our monitors, or our computers, or post it on our walls, anywhere. We should be the only ones that who knows our password, not anyone else. Uh, a good enough password is generally consists of at least 8 or 12 characters. It usually have one special character in it, one uppercase, one lowercase, and a few digits. Not one, a few digits. So we have another attack type, which is social engineering. Uh, Social engineering is the art or the way of trying to obtain the desired information, uh, or the money, by using various persuasion and deception methods to deceive the person, by taking advantage of the people's weakness, which is we can believe someone if they are really convincing. In this type of the attack, the basic psychological feelings of people, such as their benevolence, fear, curiosity, happiness, will be used, and they don't have any bad feelings about it afterwards. They just make you happy by saying that you won the perfect reward, and then ask for the logistic price, or they will make you fear about a possible outcome, and they will ask for money or information to get to make you make to get rid of you out of that problem. and they will try to do anything if you let them. And the social engineering is one of the most popular attack techniques used by the cyber criminals because it doesn't need any technical information or any technical experience. It just needs a person with a uh, strong persuasion levels and a strong tongue. They can get any information or any money from that person, and a platform or a method to make contact with you. And social medias and emails are enabling that, so they will use that. Not sharing any information with inappropriate or unknown methods and channels is a way of protecting. Implementation of the password confidentiality, like not sharing your password with anyone, uh, uh, especially if that password is for used for business processes, is a way of protecting yourself. A control measurements can be taken to prevent a password sharing from being a business necessity. That could also be a responsibility of the company. Also, the companies can try to get more security measurements to prevent any unknown senders to reach out to the employees. They can try to build security measurements over email mailboxes for their accessing to the internet, and they can try to receive more awareness trainings for the employees. Ensuring the principles of clean table and clean screen is also a good way of protecting ourselves. And we must be careful about using emails. And we must be very careful about not opening or not clicking any link or not downloading any attachment from an unknown mail or an unknown sender. Why? Because we have a form of attack called phishing. The phishing is in the name. Someone is just waiting for a person to fall for their mails, fall for their um, uh, messages to get more information, to get more money. So that's what they can come from your emails, from your social medias, directly from your phones. They can message you, they can call you, because every bank, every telecommunication firm accepts a number of personal information losses every day because they can't protect everything. So if even if we were living in a perfect world, we will still be get stolen a few thousand personal information every day. So your number is, I believe, in some notebook on some attacker's computer. So that's why if there is an email and it has some offer that is too good to be true, do not believe it, because it's probably not true. Or if they try to make you fear about a certain situation, again, if that situation were to happen in real life, in reality, they would contact you in a more formal way. So we shouldn't be trusting any mail. We shouldn't be trusting anyone, especially when they are when that mail comes from an unknown sender. The social media is a funny place, because in the mail, in the phone, the attacker tried to gather information. The information that attacker tried to get from us, we share it intentionally on the social media accounts that we have. So we must be very careful about what we share on the social media. If we are going for a holiday for a week, we shouldn't be publishing it on the social media. What we can do is we can pick the pictures, we can take the pictures, we can come back from the holiday and we can share them just like that we are now that we are living, not like the week before. the best thing we can do is that, or we can make our accounts private so that anyone that we don't know can access it, so that we can share a little bit more freely, but not much, not that much. So we shouldn't share our private information on social networks. We shouldn't use applications reported from sources we don't trust. That that are coming from. It may cause our personal information to be stolen, and we may become a tool for fraudulent practices, or we may lose some money. We shouldn't be clicking any link that we don't know the sender of. If we don't trust among the applications that we use, any one of the applications that we use, if we don't trust any one of them, we should remove them. We should delete them immediately. If we encounter any suspicious messages on one of our friends pages, or one of our friends sent us a suspicious message, the first thing that must come to our mind should be that maybe that account was hacked. So because it happens so regularly now, that anyone from one of your friends can be hacked, and that hacker maybe sent some suspicious messages to every person that they can find on their account. So even though if it's our best friend, we can just call that friend and ask, did you really just send me that text, or did you really just send me that message, to make sure that it's real. So we have some fields to require our attention, is the way that we use our passwords. They must be strong, as we talked about. They shouldn't be easily predictable, but they should be be able to remembered by us and us only. We should change it periodically, not leave it as it is. It should not be kept in writing or printed anywhere. It should be only in our minds. And there are some applications we can use for storing the passwords, like KeePass. We should not be share our passwords ever, and not every system should be used with the same password. We should have uh, some different passwords that are available to us, and we should use them occasionally. Email usage. So we shouldn't use our company mails for our personal affairs. That's a rule of the of most organizations nowadays. Mails third not being referred directly to parties. We can just make contact with relevant people. Not delivering ready to run file. If we have some file come in the attachment of some untrusted sender, we shouldn't download it. Uh, just because that untrusted mail sits in our mailbox, we can be in danger, because in the most recent vulnerabilities, now, just because they have their mail, the untrusted mail in their mailbox, the systems can be hacked. So if you have some untrusted mails, just delete them and report to the IT. We should take backup all the time. If we use mobile device, if you use mobile devices, it's even more important, because mobile devices can be stolen, can be broken way more easily. So that's why we should always be taking backups. If something happens to the phone or laptop that we use, we can continue our business. We should be performing security updates. Uh, don't just hold the updates because your phone getting slower. Just receive the updates whenever they come. Uh, we shouldn't leave our devices unprotected and unattended. We should carry them with us all the time. We can be cautious when working in open areas. We can position ourselves so that our screen is not everyone can see our screen. We can position ourselves in that way. On social media, we cannot create users with corporate mails. We can't use our business mails to create personal accounts on social medias. We can log off the application every time we exit it, and not share any information that can harm us in the long term. For internet banking, we should be able to use a virtual keyboard because there may be a malicious software in our computer that are saving every keystroke that we make. We should never click and banking link. We should always go to the relevant bank URL ourselves. We must log on from a secure computer and in a secure network, because someone may be listening to the network. We must always check if that URL starts with HTTPS, not HTTP. Uh, if we are able to, we should always be using e-signature or mobile signature. So multi-factor authentication must be always active. And if we are paying something with our using virtual cards, the 3D secure must always be on. For data security, we must be wary of people who ask for information over the phone. We should never share our information over phone. We can use for more formal ways. Credit card information should not be shared anywhere. We shouldn't be sharing our ID cards, not anywhere, not even the business mails. We can orphaned external disks should not be tested on computers. If you find a disk, you should just make it delete. You should just format it before using it. But that's not a secure enough way. Malware protection, antivirus program is a must, but just downloading an antivirus program is not good enough. We must always update it, especially the signature base. Scan and remove media before using is the best way to go. Notify the relevant unit in the antivirus alert. If we have any alert, we should notify the IT department. We shouldn't be visit any risky website, any untrusted website. We should disallow any pop-ups until they have been read. And we shouldn't download files from an untrusted or unsafe places. So we have some intellectual rights to protect. We shouldn't ever use unlicensed program. We should never pirate or crack a program, because if something is free on the internet, it's something uh, most of the time, not if it's not all the time, there is some other way of that publisher to get more money or earn any money. So if they publish unlicensed programs, they may have some other ways to earn money, and that way is not always makes us happy. Copyrighted records are not kept on a computer. Yeah, this is actually a really good fine. Actually, information sharing, uh, soft information storage in authorized folders in the common area. Uh, while sharing information, we must always utilize the most secure way that we can have that we have. The business mails is the most secure one. But if the file is too big to send from the mail, we can use other programs to share that, such as WeTransfer, to share that file more securely, and maybe encrypting the sensitive information before sharing it makes us more in compliance with the GDPR and make the information more secure. Thank you for listening and joining today's webinar. I will be sharing a link from the chat, and please go to that link and and attend that quiz. Upon completing the quiz, you will get your certification regarding joining this webinar today. If there's something wrong with the certification, if you couldn't receive the certification, uh, you can just contact the person who invited you, Miss Olcay. I'm trying to find the link, and I will share it with you in a moment. Yeah, uh, this is the link for the quiz. Uh, and if there's something anything that goes wrong, you can just contact with that mail. It's our training team, so they will gladly help you with getting you your certification. So thank you again. Unfortunately, I am not able to share PDF of this, but it's on YouTube, so you can just go back and rewatch it again. And I thank you so much again for joining for today's webinar. The presentation, I just received the information. The presentation will be sent you by our training team. So watch over the mails for the next few days. Have a good night.